Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Good morning and welcome to the Sticks Radio Show here on Seclo Sounds, and it's a very, very special one today. It's the 150th edition of the Sticks Radio Show, and I have a great guest joining me later on in the show. He's comedian and writer Lee Hurst. We'll talk to him in a little while, but many of you may be aware, last Monday we lost the great David Bowie, a man who I think music and culture has touched all our lives, and I couldn't resist playing this from his brand new album called Black Star. This is a song that a lot of people are reading a lot into. It's called Lazarus.
Up here, I'm in heaven. I've got scars that can't be seen. I've got drama, can't be stolen. Everybody knows me now. Look up here, man, I'm in danger. I've got nothing left to lose. I'm so high it makes my brain whirl. Drop my cell phone down below. That just like me, by the time I got to New York, I was living like a king.
On today's show, I'm pleased to have as my guest, comic Lee Hurst. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning to you.
How you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
Good.
I'm all right. I'm good.
Great stuff. I think most people remember you from the older sports quiz. They think it's all over.
That's correct.
That
a long
really-
time ago. If people can remember that, they're doing well.
Oh, well, I remember it very well. I remember you and David Gower sparring very regularly.
Yep.
So it was a great show. I mean, but all good things come to an end, don't they?
No, exactly. I did 2 years there, and I felt that was enough for the format they had. So I made my way on my merry journey.
Merry journey.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you originally get into comedy?
For me, it was from school. Really, there was one of my mates brought in the Goon Show scripts of books that had been published, and we used to read those at break time and make each other laugh with the characters there. And then the same guy, he then wrote his own Goon Show script, only a few pages in an exercise book, so that became the thing to do. And we'd do that and try and entertain each other. You can imagine schoolboys, the material was quite blue. It wasn't incredibly sophisticated, but it made us laugh. And it just kind of progressed from there. And then the same guy again, we were mates, very close mates. He ended up joining a community theatre group in the East End. And I followed him into that, and we sort of did a bit of comedy there. He then went off and did some stand-up comedy workshops. And I'd never considered stand-up. We were writing together as well at that point. We started submitting some gags to the BBC for various shows, sold a couple of gags, only a handful. And I ended up sort of stumbling into performing because we ended up running a venue that the Community Theatre Group had run originally. They ceased running it, so we took it over. And we ended up sort of comparing by default. I'd intended to write comedy, not perform it. I ended up sort of stumbling into performing.
Yeah, because performing is different. I mean, I compare. I don't, but I'm not a funny man, as a lot of my friends will probably tell you. And actually, getting on stage, the initial getting on stage is interesting, isn't it? The confidence to be able to do it.
Well, it was funny for me. Before I'd even first ever done it, I was kind of speaking to comedians as if they were going to give me an answer, you know. So what was it like when you first went up? And as if they were going to go, oh, the answer's 17 and a half. I go, oh, that's the answer, I'll do it now. And obviously I was getting nowhere with that because nobody could tell you the secret or anything. And in the end, it was a case of, like, I've just got to do it. And it was quite weird. Once I decided I was going to perform in this community theatre group in a sketch, it was like, right, it's a done deal now, I've got to do it. And I just applied logic. Quite frankly, I just thought, right, there's no point in being nervous because the audience will see that. When I was a kid, I did athletics, and obviously you get the adrenaline at the start of the race. Is a bit of an assistance, you know, when you start. But I figured that I've got to suppress that, and that's what I did. I genuinely suppressed the nerves, the adrenaline, to the point that as I carried on through comedy, nothing scares me.
No.
I'm fearless, not just in comedy, but in anything. I'm not brave, don't get me wrong.
No.
It's just that I can just suppress it. If you hear a loud bang and people get that adrenaline burst in their chest, you know, I can instantly suppress that now. It's a bit weird, but it's been very useful. So I've never got nervous on stage ever.
So, have you ever had, don't take this wrong, a proper job?
Yeah, I know. So when I left school, I worked at BT. I was a telephone engineer apprentice. I did that for nearly a year. I worked for a building society for about 6 months, a van driver for 6 months. I had a cleaning job for about 18 months. I worked for the council on numerous occasions, different jobs. The HSS, you know, I had loads of different day jobs, but I was never fully happy. The van driving job was the closest I got to it because it was job and finish, you know, take your deliveries out, finish, job done. And so you kind of had a bit of freedom now, and you were left to your own devices. But I always knew I wanted to be self-employed, but at that point I didn't really know what as, you know. And then I sort of finally started doing comedy in about 89, I think, was when we ran another gig. Me and my mate took over a gig in 87, and I did an open spot in 1989, but then I didn't do anything for a year, and then I did a couple of open spots, and then bang, I was off and running on the circuit. He'd gone to uni at that point to do a master's in computing, and so I was left on my Todd to go and do it as a stand-up, so that's how I ended up doing it, really.
Because I think a lot of people see comics on the TV on like things like the Apollo, and they're sort of like overnight. They portray them as overnight sensation. I know for a fact I do a I've been doing it for about 6 years. I do a sort of comedy judging for a company called Last Minute Comedy, and Paul, be pleased, don't just give me a good plug. I know you had the final at your club last year, which we mentioned in a little while, and I've seen some of these talents, and I've seen some of them have entered every year for the last 6 years, and how they progress, and how they've come from like yourself, like doing another job, doing a day job, then coming and working clubs at night, and they get when I work with them, they get like a 10-minute slot to do to sell themselves, and some of these guys blow me away. Some of them are amazing. Some of them obviously need a little bit more polish. And I think people have got there because they see you on, see people on TV, see people on, on like things like the Apollo. They think, "Oh, he's a new young lad," and he's suddenly come from nowhere. But these guys have been plying their trade for years and years. Some of them.
Yeah, I mean, myself personally, I kind of got lucky in the sense that when I started on the circuit properly, which was so about June '90. Lucky and unlucky. I mean, lucky in the sense of there weren't as many comics around, but unlucky in the sense that there were far fewer clubs as well. I mean, a lot fewer clubs. And so when you got an open spot, you had to take it with both hands and impress, because it could be 6 months before you could go back. There were that few clubs around. But then I found that I progressed very quickly and got into the Comedy Store very quickly. I fell into doing warm-up work later on for TV.
Yeah,
and that made me, again, I was completely au fait with the TV studio set up, so that when I finally appeared on television, it didn't faze me at all. I'd spent so much time in there, in that environment, in front of an audience. So it was just another gig. So I was quite fortunate there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys, there are guys now who end up on these programs like the Apollo. I don't watch it, but I'm aware of who goes on. I don't watch any British comedy, to be honest with you, unless it's at my club. I'm aware that there are people that are on these shows that shouldn't be. They're not ready.
I agree.
And you're seeing the best they've got, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they've burnt it already. And I wouldn't advise... it's difficult to say don't advise comics to do it, because I'm sure they're paid handsomely for it. And it's TV, and it's a great opportunity as far as they can see. But I think you've got to play the long game and learn your craft before you really, really go for it.
Before you shake your hand, you mentioned you were doing some warm up, and I mean, tell me if this story is correct, but you were sort of almost conned into going on. They think it's all over by Harry Thompson. He asked you to come along and do the warm up for the pilot when really he wanted you on the show.
Well, it wasn't that. It wasn't that so much. It was